thank you for taking the time to watch this video where I will be picking my TBR for the month of June. I absolutely love recording this video, and the reason is because I think it is a great mix of surprise in terms of what's going on my book list, but I can also focus in on some of the things I really want to pick up. And it works really well for me and my personality type, because although I do absolutely love to mood read, I also like a sense of accomplishment when I've ticked something off my list. So this gives me a really focused reading list for the month, as well as giving me a little bit of room to mood read as well as we go through the month. So, as always, I'm going to start with this jar here. So if you've watched another of my TBR videos, then you'll know that I have a book recommendations form in the description box down below of most of my videos. If you have got a book that you want to recommend to me, then please let me know, fill in the form, and each month I'll go through those. If I've got anything new, I'll pop that into the jar, and then what I do is I'll pick one of them out so that every month I'm always reading a recommendation from one of you. Now this month I did get one new recommendation, and I want to thank Celine5591 for her recommendation. She recommended Captive of the Horde King by Zoe Draven. Well, the good news is that I've actually already read that one, and I love that one too, and I'm also really excited that I was able to sign up to support Zoe Draven's Kickstarter, where I'll also be receiving the Horde Kings of Dakar and that whole series in hardcover, and so I'm hoping to get those in the next couple of months, so really looking forward to that. So thank you for Celine for that recommendation. It was a great recommendation and I have already read that book. Okay, so let's tip out the stars. I think I'm feeling a yellow one today, so let's go for this yellow one here. Now this is also a bit of a challenge because I can never quite get into the stars once I've picked them. Folded them very, very securely. Okay, so the one I've picked out is For the Love of Layla by Callie Moss. It's a dark stalker romance, and this has been recommended by Zimina Vasquez 525. So apologies if I haven't quite pronounced that correctly, but I will hold this up here and also do a close-up as well of the recommendation. Okay, so this book looks like it's just shy of 300 words, which is good, so hopefully it will be a fairly quick read. It says it's a dark psychological stalker romance. The blurb says, For the Love of Layla is a dark psychological stalker romance. And from her point of view, it says, how do you cope when you find out the person you entrusted your heart to is a monster, a wolf in sheep's clothing? I did what I thought was the right, logical thing. I ran. Little did I know nothing was ever going to be that easy, and he had no intention of letting me go. And then from his point of view, it says, the day she left, she took a piece of me. How she took everything I ever was and ever dreamed of being. I've always been a little different. Inflicted with a chronic need to fixate on things. Who better to fixate on than the woman who stole my heart the moment she quite literally stumbled into my life? I can't let her go, and I will get her back by any means necessary, even if that means destroying us both in the process. She's mine, only mine. My little love seems to have forgotten that. It's going to be fun reminding her. So that looks really interesting. I love a stalker romance, and so I can't wait to dive into that. So thank you very much for that recommendation. Okay, so next up I'm going to pick one from this TBR jar. Now this jar is slightly different because this is one where at the end of 2023 I watched some of my favourite booktubers end of year recommendations videos where they shared their top picks from the year. So I went through those, and the ones that sounded really interesting to me I basically wrote down and popped into this jar. So I'm going to pick this green one out today, and let's see what this one is. So I'm going to start that again, because what I actually ended up picking out was Pierce You're Intolerable by Julia Wolfe, which I've already read, and I read it because Jen from the Book Refuge raved about it, but I actually ended up putting it in my jar because Jesson had included it in her top books of 2023 as well. So I am just going to discard that one and pick out another one. Right, shaking them up, and this time I'm going to pick a blue star. Oh. Well, that has worked out perfectly because I've picked out King of Greed by Ana Huang, which was one of Jessen's top books of 2023. And it's quite fortuitous because I actually own a copy of this book here, King of Greed by Ana Huang, which I picked up from Waterstones here in the UK because I had a gift voucher for Christmas. So the blurb on this one said, he had her, he lost her, and he'll do anything to win her back. Powerful, brilliant and ambitious, Dominic Davenport clawed his way up from nothing to become the king of Wall Street. He has everything, a beautiful home, a beautiful wife, and more money than he could spend in a lifetime. But no matter how much he accumulates, he's never satisfied. In his endless quest for more, he drives away the only person who saw him as enough. It isn't until she's gone that he realises there may be more to life than riches and glory, but by then it may be too late. So like I said, I bought this one. I've wanted to read it for ages. I really like the sound of this one. It's a marriage in trouble basically, and I'm really happy to have picked that one out. Okay, so the next up, I then use two different sets of TBR cards. So I have this set here which I bought from a shop called Hey Book Lover on Etsy, and it's just got a variety of different prompts on them. So as usual, I attempt to shuffle them. I'm a really bad shuffler. I usually end up spilling them all. So we've shuffled them and I'll spread them out here, and then I'll pick one from this set here, and it says choose a book which begins with a prologue. So I do actually have a couple of books here that I wanted to put on my TBR, so I'm just going to check first if they have a prologue. But yes, this one does, so that's great. So basically we have got A Hunger Like No Other by Kresley Cole. I'm really excited to pick this one up. I've wanted to read this series for a long time because I do like kind of fantasy, paranormal sort of romances, and I heard Kresley Cole, this series by Kresley Cole is the Immortals After Dark series, is really, really good. However, the number of books in this series kind of put me off. It's a little bit daunting because she's, you know, done tens of books at this point. I think, I don't even know, but basically around the 1920 mark, maybe even more than that. So it is quite intimidating. However, I did want to give this a try, and I was lucky enough to get this one recently as a book annotated by Jen from the Book Refuge. She was offering some book annotations through her Patreon, and basically I requested this one. So not only does it start with a prologue, but also it's been annotated by her, so I'll be really excited to pick that one up and read it. And also that's my second physical book of the month as well. I very rarely read physical copies, so I'm excited to get to some of the ones that have been sitting on my shelf for a while. So what's this one actually about? So it involves a fierce werewolf warrior. After years of torture from the vampire horde, Lachlan McGreeve is enraged to find the predestined mate he's waited a millennia for is a vampire. But she is a bewitching beauty. Emmeline Troy is on a mission to uncover the truth about her parents when a powerful Lycae claims her as his mate and begins a slow, wicked seduction. And then it says, an all-consuming desire. Once an ancient evil resurfaces, will their dark cravings deepen into a love that can bring a proud warrior to his knees and turn a gentle female into the fighter she was born to be. So we're going to have to see what happens there. So looking forward to reading that. Okay, next up then I picked from this set of cards here. They're plain on the back actually, so all the prompts are on the front here, but I'll give this a good shake and then kind of select one from here. It says here, if you can see, read a standalone novel. And as it would happen, I was just speaking to somebody who watches my channel just this week, and she's recently read Fear Me, Love Me by Lilith Vincent, which is a mafia age gap romance, and I think it's a labyrinth retelling. Now, I'd heard about this one before and it has been on my TBR for a while, but because I'd recently been speaking about it, this one came to mind instantly when I got the prompt for read a standalone novel, because I think it is completely standalone. It's not part of a series or anything. So the blurb on this one says, Tyrant Mercer doesn't grant wishes, he collects debts, and he's here to claim me. All I wanted was my baby brother back from the man who stole him away. My family is in tyrant's debt, a man they hate, and they disown me when the devil's eyes stray to me. Now there's nothing and no one to protect me from the cruel man who runs his city from the shadows. But tyrant's not going to drag me away by my hair just yet. He's going to torment me first. Tyrant demands that I play his twisted games. He thinks I'll crumble for his amusement, but I'm carrying a secret that's bigger than both of us, a secret that's now in the hands of the worst man possible. All he craves is me. All he demands is everything. Tyrant will give me everything I've ever wanted. All I have to say is, I wish. But a wish is a curse when it's granted by the devil himself. So yeah, like I said, looking forward to reading that. And also it is just 266 pages, so another quick read. So okay, so they are the TBR jars for this month. They are my prompt cards for this month. I do have a couple of new releases that I've written down that are coming out in the month of June that I want to get to as soon as they pop up. So the first one is currently scheduled to be released on the 7th of June, which is False Start by Kandi Steiner, and this is going to be book 5 in the Red Zone Rival series. Now I literally just finished reading or listening to all 4 books in the Red Zone Rival series on audiobook, and so I was really pleased to see that she'd got another book coming out in this series, and in fact it's going to be focused on Carl Robbins, who's kind of been a bit of a disruptive character, should we say, in the other books. Not particularly well liked, a bit full of himself, and he was the one always causing problems with social media. So now that the series has ended, most of them have turned professional or have gone on to live their careers. It was really interesting to see what Kandi Steiner is going to do with this next book. So like I said, this is False Start. It's book 5 in the Red Zone Rivals, and it's a fake dating sports romance. So Carl Robbins is now Seattle's rookie tight end and the first boy to break my heart. Oh, did I mention he's also my new client and fake boyfriend? The commission from working with him is a key to my new life. It's worth putting up with the cocky athlete. The problem is that my past is dark, and while Kyle sees the bruises, he thinks he can save me. Fake dating each other was supposed to be for my safety, but I can't help thinking my heart is more at risk now than ever before. So yeah, like I say, I'm really excited to pick that up, and I hope it does come out on the 7th of June. Although Kandi hasn't even done a cover reveal for this one yet. Then the next one I really want to get to is God of War by Rina Kent. This is part of the Legacy of the Gods series. I've been absolutely loving this series, and this is going to be the last one in this particular series. So really looking forward to picking this one up. It was originally scheduled for August, but she's brought this one forward, so now it's due out on the 13th of June. So they've kept Eli King to the end, and the blurb on this one says, I fell for the villain. It happened back when I was a clueless girl, but he ruthlessly broke my heart and trapped it in a jar. Since then, I've sworn to hate him to the end of my days. Eli King might be a savage devil, but I'm out of his way and league. That is, until I wake up in a hospital and find him holding my hand. He tells me the words that changed my life forever. We got married 2 years ago, Mrs. King. So I set out to investigate how I landed myself into this marriage. Turns out my memories are darker than my present. I thought I was ready for the hurricane. I thought I could handle his soulless eyes and cold shoulder. I thought wrong. Nothing can stop my husband, not the secrets surrounding us, not the hatred between us, not even me. So I'm really looking forward to this one, and we'll definitely be picking it up as soon as I can. And then the other one that's coming out in June, on the 13th of June as well, so the same day as the God of War currently, is Full Throttle by Melanie Moreland, which is book 5 in the Reynolds Restoration series. This is kind of a small town romance series that I've been enjoying. Now, I enjoyed the first couple of books much more than the last one, because I thought the last one was just a little bit too sweet for me, a little bit too easy, but nevertheless, like I say, I've really grown to love all the characters in this series, so we'll definitely be interested in picking up this 5th book. So this one says, there's a new mechanic in town, Dom Salvatore, tall, serious, intense, a loner, exactly what he wants to be until he meets her, Cherry Gallagher, independent, stubborn, sexy as hell, and not interested. Or is she? What happens when two lonely people open up and discover there is more to life than being alone? When the sparks they feel become an inferno they can't control? When they discover the best part of each other is what they were missing? Can they handle the full throttle of love? So like I say, this one is a small town romance, and it will be a nice break, I think, between some of the darker reads that I've already got on my list. Okay, so that's 7 books in total so far, but I have a couple more that I really do want to try and get to. One of them is this one here, Smokeshow by Abbi Glines. This is another mafia romance, but it's also a cowboy mafia romance. And this is the first book in the Smoke series, of which I think there's actually 10 books, so lots to get my teeth into if I like this one. Now, one of the reasons I really want to get to this is because Abbi Glines is going to be an attending author at Rare 24 in Edinburgh, so of course I want to read it before I get there to see if I like it. Also, I happened to win this book in a competition on Facebook as part of the group, and Abbi sent this to me, and it's also signed at the front there. So like I said, I really kind of want to pick this up, and also this is another fairly short read at 252 pages. And you know me, I always like a quicker read because one, it means that I can get through books faster, I can get to more of them, and it's good to balance out some of the longer books, like God of War for example. I know is going to be nearly 500 pages, so some of the shorter ones balance out the longer ones, and means that I can still hit my reading goal for the month. Okay, so what is this one about? So it says on the back, it's a fragile thing, the whispers of truth that you hope are lies. Hugh's Farm was the largest racing horse establishment in the South. The family that owned it were known to be wealthy, powerful, arrogant and terrifying. My first encounter with them didn't prepare me for all that was to come. I don't think anything truly could have. Growing up with only my father and brother hadn't been easy, but we'd had each other. Losing them was the hardest thing I'd ever faced. It had made the times we went without food, electricity or even shelter seem insignificant in comparison. It is when a woman claiming to have been my mother's best friend arrives to take me home with her that questions begin to surface. My father has rarely spoken of my mother. She had died when I was a toddler, having no other option. I trust this stranger and I'm thrown into a world of mansions, racing horses, extravagance and him. It's true that there is a thin line between love and hate, but there is an even thinner line between truth and lies. And then what I really want to try and do is read some more Sam Mariano books, because I've absolutely been loving everything I've read from her so far, apart from one, Descent, which I didn't enjoy quite as much. But Untouchable, for example, I really enjoyed, and I've really been loving the Coastal Elite series so far. So I kind of want to get caught up in that series. So I had read Contempt, which is book 3. But 4 is also available, Surrender. Now this is kind of a re-release of an original work called Sophie's Surrender, which Sam Mariano wrote with Laura Lovett, and she's just reworked this book slightly and put in an additional chapter or an epilogue with a bit more information about another character who we're going to be seeing much more of as the series progresses. So this particular one is Surrender. Like I say, it's Coastal Elite book 4. The main female character in this one is Sophie. She says, I knew better than to go to that party. I would have been much happier curled up at home eating Halloween candy by myself, but I had Mum's voice in my head telling me to make an effort now that I was in college to put myself out there and socialise. If I'd stayed home, I wouldn't have met him. And then the main male character is Sylvan, and it says, men have always committed atrocities chasing after their desires. The men in my family have it down to an art form. Personally, I've never experienced a desire that ran so deep it poisoned my soul, until the night I laid eyes on her. It's really too bad she didn't feel the same. It could have been a fairy tale. I guess our story was meant to be something a little more twisted. Oh well, I desire Sophie Bradwell, and I don't care how many terrible things I have to do to get her and keep her. So that is Surrender. Like I said, that's book 4. And then recently she's just brought out another book called Brutal Ambition, which is kind of set in the same universe as the Coastal Elite. It happens kind of in a parallel timeline, shall we say, and some of the characters are connected, but it's not strictly part of the series. But like I say, I really want to get caught up with this whole world, and I want to read this one. So if I get a chance, I'll also move on to this one, which is Brutal Ambition, and it's a secret society romance. So it says, be careful what you wish for, you just might get in. I used to fantasize about meeting a master madman who would love me endlessly and obsessively. He would look after me in a world where no one else did. He would manipulate all the strings that held up my life until I had exactly the one I wanted. And the one night I met him. Only he hasn't the hero I always imagined he would be. When we left the forest together that night, I thought I'd escaped the villains relatively unscathed, but my true villain was the man whose arms I felt safest in. he was the one who would tear me apart. Now I know the only way to save myself is to stay far away from Killian Walsh, but no matter how fast I run, he won't stop chasing me. He knows the best thing he could do for me is to set me free, but he's too selfish to do it. He calls me reckless, but I think he's crazy, because Killian Walsh will let the flames consume us both before he will ever let me go. Okay, so there you have it. That's all of the books I want to try and get to in the month of June. I'm really excited about it. I think it's a great mix of books and recommendations, so thank you very much. Like I said, as a reminder, if you want to recommend a book to me, then please pop a comment in the comments box down below. But I've also got a book recommendation form, the link to which is in the description box down below, so please don't hesitate to drop me a line and let me know if you think I need to read something. If I like the sound of it and I haven't read it before, then I will put it on a strip of paper, turn it into a star and pop it into my jar for a chance to pull it out next time. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Right, so you might need to cut this and come back because I need to go. And then we can jump back to the Sam Mariano. So, Eli King might be a Right, tidying up. You don't need to see me tidying up. Sometimes. Now I'm absolutely recording. Thank you for joining me today. What are you joining me for?